What is up, everybody? Welcome back for another episode of the Ride the Pine podcast. I am Sean Sproat, and congratulations to everyone out there for spooky season. It is officially October. We have made it. For some retailers out there, no, it is not December. It is not Christmas. It is October and Halloween. Just a quick reminder. Let's get our other hosts in here real quick, though. He looks forward to these intros just as much as JD Vance looks forward to fact checking. It's Kenny Hudden.
Nice.
That's a good one.
And he's the Michael Jordan of fantasy football, but less basketball Jordan and more retiring to play baseball Jordan. And let me just consult my notes here real quick. Rodrigo AstroTurd.
That would be me. That is me. That is my FIFA manager name. It is also a couple other names that I use. I do not have a burner for that yet. Probably should.
You probably should.
I will say, though, real quick, if you run a fantasy sports league, hint, hint, wink, wink to a commissioner that may or may not be on this podcast, if you ever have a league that your championship is the final week of a season, you need to be taken out back and hit with a sock of nickels.
Wait, what's that stemming from?
So I'm in a fantasy baseball league.
There's your problem.
Okay.
No, so I did this because I saw the rules beforehand and I knew how I was going to win this league real quick. I am 20-2. I have 1,500 more points scored than the second place team. So on average, I'm scoring whatever that is, 50, 75 points more per week. And you're scoring 400 points a week, right? First round, blow out that team. No big deal. We get to the championship round. And you know what happens in baseball when teams clinch a postseason bid? They don't play their players. And we have 3 waiver pickups. So the method in fantasy baseball, if you guys are interested, is that if you don't have an innings or an at-bats limit, you get as many players as you possibly can between a pro roster and if you have minors, a minor league roster, and you just cycle players through. So I'm getting in certain weeks 12, 13, 14 starts from my starting pitching staff, racking up points. Easy way to do it. This week, not so much. I had Chris Sale. He was supposed to go on Thursday. That game got rained out. Oh, and by the way, he was supposed to pitch on Monday. Back spasms. Cool. That was fun. I had Tarek Skubal. He got scratched from his start on Sunday because they had already clinched. I had 3 other pitchers that were pulled, including Hunter Green, who, if you don't know Hunter Green, he plays for the Reds. He is on track for almost, if the Reds would win games, he would get a Cy Young award. He is right there with Chris Sale. He gets pulled after 4 innings, 1 hit, 6 strikeouts, and guess what? He threw 60 pitches. And then I lost, which that, in fact, cost me $75 from my championship. I still got 75 for second place, but if you're not first, you're last. I don't care.
And so that's why your intro was the baseball Jordan of fantasy sports. That is correct. Hopefully you don't have any Houston Astros on your team because their run ended very quickly.
Sean, I'm shocked that we didn't continue our season because why not just include the playoffs, right? I mean, might as well.
Might as well. Let's jump
Ironically, all of my pitchers are playoff pitchers, and they all have been lights out in the playoffs.
Let's jump into the best thing we saw this week. Kenny, lead us off with the pregame tailgate.
Oh, God. Okay, so I got 2 things. I just saw this. This is really funny. Any of you know me, I'm a huge Coheed and Cambria fan. New single out today. It rips.
It does.
And then Jason Kelsey, my doppelganger, has infiltrated the zeitgeist of our popular culture so much to the fact that he went on a rant on Monday night about statistics, which garnered this tweet. Jason Kelsey blasts statistics in wild rants. Stats are numbers. Numbers are nerds. Nerds are losers. This was tweeted out by Fox News. A legitimate web or news organization to which I'm not sure true colors, Sean. And Jason Kelsey then retweets it. Funniest headline I've ever read.
That's
So,
great.
yeah.
That's
Slow news
fantastic.
week.
Adam.
So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Arcade One. If you haven't, I would suggest figuring out what it is because it has produced the most glorious piece of furniture in my house currently. I now have a golden tee. And not only do I have golden tee, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 versions of a golden tee. And I'll send you guys the picture because it's absolutely marvelous. I also have shuffleboard. I also have bowling. I also have Tapper. I have Rampage, which for those kids out there, that's Wreck-It Ralph. I also have Paperboy. There's also a whole bunch of other random games. 20 arcade games on this bad boy.
Nice.
I thought for sure. I'm like, you know what? This is really rolling the dice. After a week, I finally convinced the wife, hey, you know what? I think this is going to be worth it. Let's drop the money on it. I spent 3 hours. I burned 1,200 calories putting this son of a bitch together. The picture that I sent Kenny and my brother of all of the pieces scattered across my basement, it was daunting, but I got it done. There was a lot of cursing, and an old man with bad knees is not a good combo for that one. I'll send you guys the picture, but this thing is marvelous. The kids love it. Every day we've come down and we either play Wreck-It Ralph or bowling, or I'm the only one that plays Golden Tee. Next UFC we have Kenny. We're doing it here. It's fantastic. It isn't the fancy version, like the new like high def. It's the old school version, which honestly I think is better.
Nice. Sean, I don't know about you. I know you are a Community fan, but as soon as Adam said I convinced the wife to spend the money, all I thought about was the scene where Troy rides the ATV into
I already knew where you were going
room.
with that.
Good news, guys. I spent all my money. What are you doing with that in there? It's all terrain, dummy.
All terrain means all terrain, dummy.
Pretty accurate.
I have 2 things for best thing this week. One's really similar to Adam, what you just said. I've been playing a game called UFO 50, and it's not just like one game, it's 50 games all in one. It's basically one guy created 50 games all in kind of like a retro style. So like 8-bit and 16-bit, all like original games that you can go and play. And it's all like on one catalog. It's awesome. Other best thing I saw this week is I just need to highlight a text that I sent earlier today in a group message. I just need to just mention this real quick because I'm really proud of this. I was going on a rant about our medical system and how much it costs. And one of the guys replied that this is hot garbage, but it is what it is. And I said, exceptionally hot. That's hotter than Sydney Sweeney at a trampoline park. And I just want everybody to know that I came up with that off the top of my dome.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Add Charlie Hull on that list too.
Will do. So, bets. Adam.
All right, so let's go to our gambling picks. Guys, we are running cold if you want to put the whole totals in as far as NCAA and NFL. NCAA not terrible last week. So our first game that we picked was Northern Illinois at NC State. NC State was favored by 6.5. I had Northern Illinois, Kenny, NC State, Northern Illinois for Sean. NC State did cover the 6.5. Louisville at Notre Dame was 6.5. I had Notre Dame. You guys had Louisville. Notre Dame covered that one. Georgia at Bama, which that game was absolutely fantastic. I'm pretty sure that when I show my wife that it is 21-0 in the first quarter, Alabama, and then she asks when I turn the game on later, wasn't this game 21-0 at one point? That it's a damn good game. And that was absolutely exceptional. That is high-class football. Thank you to the I'm not going to pronounce the word that I was about to say because that'll probably get us kicked off YouTube, that posted that NIL is ruining college football. You're wrong. NIL is dominating college football.
I can't believe I forgot to mention in the pregame tailgate. Did you guys see what Ryan Williams changed his Instagram picture to?
Yes.
On Sunday?
Yeah. Oh my God. I can't believe I forgot to mention that too.
Dude,
yes.
This is trolling at like gold level trolling. He changed his photo on Instagram to Michael Vick holding a puppy.
mere hours, mere day. I don't know when he actually did it, but mere hours after beating the Georgia Bulldogs, Michael Vick, you can put it together.
It only would have been better if it would have been Vic sitting in a Corvette holding a puppy.
I also loved his eye black. Did you guys see that too?
I did see
kill
that.
everyone.
Kill everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, he's 17 and a freshman at Alabama right now.
Yeah.
So that game, I picked
Nick
Georgia.
Saban was holding Alabama back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That pick did not age well.
Yeah, I had Georgia. Sean had Georgia. Kenny had Bama. Bama did cover in that one in the end. And then our game of the week, our pick of the week for the random spread, Illinois at Penn State. Penn State was favored by 19 points at home. We all had Illinois to cover. Illinois covered. I kind of figured that one was coming. So this week for NCAA picks, we have Missouri at Texas A&M. A&M is a 2.5-point favorite. Kenny, who did you pick?
I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry.
Okay, you picked Mizzou. Thank you very much. Mizzou and Texas A&M. Kenny, you picked Mizzou.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I picked Mizzou as well. Sean, you picked Mizzou. Yes. I honestly have a feeling that Mizzou's offense is going to run the ball down their throat. That's my thought process on that. I think that A&M has a decent defense. I don't think they can handle the two-headed monster that Mizzou has.
I mean, the big thing in this game will be if Texas defensive ends wreak havoc. If the offensive line we brought in and Marcus Bryant and Caden Green can actually shut down. The kid's name is like Swart. I don't know. I mean, he's first round talent at the defensive end position. I'm not worried about the other guy that they have. I forget his name, but I think Armand Mimbu will shut him down. But yeah, I mean, if they can't run the ball, that would, I mean, hey, throw it over the top of them. Little quick slants to Luther. Let him do touchdown Luther things.
Yeah, the only concern that I have about it with A&M's offense is if they have, I forget what the dude's first name is. Last name's Reed. It's not Connor Wegman. I can tell you that. If they have him in, he's a running quarterback, and Mizzou doesn't do well with running quarterbacks. Historically, they never really have. That part scares me a little bit. Sean, what were we going to say?
I was going to say, are you a little worried that there could be a letdown with Mizzou with the not less than stellar, I was going to say poor, but less than stellar showing the last time?
I don't think that it's
you guys are the Mizzou fans, so I want your opinion on it. Are you worried at all? Are you happy with that picking Mizzou to win this, or is it more of a hesitant pick?
So I will say that when Luther caught the touchdown pass in overtime last week or 2 weeks ago, I looked over to my oldest daughter and I said, "It was that easy?" And I thought about it at the time. That why was that play so easy for them to run? Why couldn't they have just done that the whole time? And then earlier this week, I forget who it was. It might have been True Tiger's son or something like that on Twitter. I forget who the guy was that brought up the fact that this was the exact same thing that Mizzou did last year, and they held back the offense a little bit, and then they opened the floodgates and the offense was clicking. I kind of have a feeling that that's the same thing. Since the fumble on the reverse in week 1 with Burden, whatever the hell they were trying to run in the red zone, and he dropped the ball, that offense has been relatively bland, and they basically run the same play, just different versions of it. So that would be my theory.
I think, like most young kids, they probably bought into their own hype. So I think getting not necessarily brought back to earth because they did end up winning those games, but I think there's a lot of they can't do it now, and that's the best thing for this team. Yeah. We need them to have a chip on their shoulder, and I think this sets up perfectly for A&M's not good. Like, I'm not going to sit here and act like their corners can match Luther Burden and Theo Weiss, but I do have questions on our defense. We don't know who the quarterback for A&M is, but until the ball is kicked, I'm not going to be nervous about it.
Yeah.
So, great time for a bye week, though.
For sure. And it's planned out that way for the next 4 games, too. Let's jump to the next game. Ole Miss at South Carolina. Ole Miss is favored by 9, coming off of, I would say, a pretty massive upset to that program. They lost to Kentucky, correct? I want to make sure I got that right.
Oh, yeah.
They lose to Kentucky. The game was close. I will say this. They were favored. I believe they were favored by 13 in that game. And they got kind of shut down on offense.
Much like Missouri, and that was one of the points I wanted to make. Ole Miss needs to get on the road. They need to get away from the distractions, and I'm going to text one of my coworkers who lives in South Carolina, is a South Carolina alumni, at kickoff, sorry for your loss, because I think Ole Miss is going to run it up.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. So we all have Ole Miss on that one. Another game that'll be very interesting. Miami is a 10-point favorite as they travel to California to face Cal. So they're going to Berkeley. I love that people are calling this the woke versus Coke game. Absolutely fantastic. If they have a shirt, I really want to get one because I think that'd be awesome. Throwback to Catholics versus convicts, also fantastic shirt. This game I think is going to be interesting as well because I don't care what the scoreboard said and what the referees say. Miami lost that game last week. That 100% was a catch on the final play. Hail Mary. God, I can't remember who the fuck they played.
Virginia Tech.
Thank you. Hail Mary. Receiver comes down with the ball, lands in the end zone. The defender is the one that is out of bounds. He is laying on top of the defender. The defender strips the ball out of him once he's laying on the ground because we cannot have Miami fail because then the ACC is absolutely screwed. They go to review, and somehow the play was called touchdown on the field, which means you have to have inconclusive evidence that it is something that you can overturn, and the referees overturned it. There was no view that showed that it should have been overturned.
There was nothing that I saw in that would say that was inconclusive. I get it. It's not great for your conference, but Virginia Tech won that game and they earned it. I don't know, man. I think Miami probably boat races Cal.
Yeah, and I think the opposite. I think this is going to be an interesting game. You have Miami traveling across the country. It is a late game. I'm pretty sure it's a 10:30 local time, St. Louis time kickoff, or 10 o'clock kickoff, which means that on the East Coast, they're kicking off at 11 o'clock their time. I think they travel on Fridays for those games. So that would be the interesting part of it. It's not like playing an early game on the East Coast for a West Coast team. It's the total opposite. I think Cal can cover. That currently is a 10-point spread. I've got Cal. Sean, you have Cal. Kenny, you pick Miami.
Yep. I just think because that line I think Cal covers.
Yeah. Last game for college football week, kind of off the radar one. Texas Tech at Arizona, another late game. Arizona is a 6-point favorite. I guessed Arizona. Honestly, I think Arizona at one point earlier in the season, I thought would possibly be a team that could run for a Big 12 championship. I still think they're a decent football team, but yeah, Arizona, I have them -6. Kenny?
I took Arizona. Texas Tech, even though their most famous alumni is Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the NFL, Tech has not been relevant since Cliff Kingsbury was banging co-eds in the late aughts. So, yeah.
Did you guys see, speaking of Texas Tech, that they played Cincinnati last week? So Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes had a bet whoever lost would have to wear the mascot head. Texas Tech lost. Or Texas Tech won, so Travis Kelce had to wear the Red Raider head on their podcast. It was absolutely fantastic. Sean, who'd you pick for that game?
I have Arizona.
Nice, great. I love that your in-depth analysis on Arizona. I think it's a great pick for you.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks. I put a lot of thought into that pick.
All right, so let's jump to the pros.
Put
the guys
get
paid a little bit more.
NFL picks.
Oh, just wait.
Yeah. Let's go to the pros. Last week we had Dallas at New York. Dallas was a 6-point favorite. We all had Dallas. We were all wrong. Buffalo at Baltimore. Buffalo was a 2.5 point favorite. Kenny and I had Buffalo. Sean had Baltimore. Sean was right. Tennessee at Miami.
Suck it, Kenny.
Apparently, we were all wrong on this one. I think it was Tennessee. Tennessee was +1. They won that game. So that should be a win for me and Sean. I didn't mark that game.
Tennessee won that game?
Pretty sure they did, didn't they?
Hold on. We got to look.
Double check.
Dude, there were pictures of like Will Levis like grunting on the sideline looking like he was taking a shit.
Well, they pulled him. He didn't play the majority of the game.
Yeah, he got pulled like after 3 series or something.
But they play the Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
The Titans won 31-12.
Yeah, Miami looks terrible without Tua.
They really do. They're not throwing Hill the ball at all, and my fantasy team is struggling because of it, kind of.
The other game that we had was Seattle at Detroit. We all had Detroit. They were a 3.5-point favorite. Sean, while you got it pulled up, who won? I know Detroit won that game. They covered that, right?
Who'd they play? Seahawks? Is that what I said?
Yeah.
42-29 Lions.
Perfect. And then our big dogs of the week, I had Saints at 2.5. Sean, you had Jacksonville at +6, and Kenny, you had Minnesota at +2.5. All of those hit as well, I believe.
The Jacksonville game barely, but I'll take it.
I think it was 6 on the nose.
It was 4.
Was it? All right, cool.
Yeah.
That's why I don't do math live on the air.
That's
all right, this week, tomorrow night.
Oh wait, you had them at +2.5. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. Thursday night football, Tampa Bay at Atlanta. Atlanta is a 1.5-point favorite. I picked Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay is a lot better than people give them credit for.
Atlanta's pretty good, man. I don't know. I'm going with Atlanta on that one.
Yep, I'm picking Atlanta,
especially at home.
Yeah, and it's a Thursday night game. I mean, these like last week was a 6-point spread. This week's a 1-point spread. I mean, really, it should be a 1.5, 2.5-point spread. Those games are so crazy. You don't know what's going to happen.
I have a general rule that I try to follow, that I don't start anyone in fantasy football if it's on a Thursday night, because you just, like you just said, it's a complete crapshoot. So I hate that that we're doing this where we have to pick the Thursday night game, because I feel like I get it wrong every time.
Yeah. Let's see real quick. No, you are 2 for 2 this year.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, congratulations.
That makes me feel a little better.
Actually, we're pretty decent at picking it. Kenny is 2 for 2, and I am 2 for 2 as well. So not bad.
Oh, that's okay. Great.
Yeah, way better. The other Sunday night football game, Dallas at Pittsburgh. 2.5-point favorite is Pittsburgh at home. I took Pittsburgh in that game. I saw that Dak Prescott was apparently in a commercial for some movie that's coming out with Venom and somebody else. I don't even know who these people are, but he was in a movie commercial. It's all downhill from here for the Cowboys. I'm taking Pittsburgh. They're going to cover on that one. And I think that the Justin Fields experiment is now a Justin Fields permanent, and he's going to run all over that Dallas defense.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. I also have Pittsburgh. Maybe if Dallas was able to pull off a certain trade from a certain individual who wants to leave Las Vegas by that time, then maybe I would change my mind, but I don't think that's going to happen. So Pittsburgh.
Give me the Cowboys.
All right. New Orleans at Kansas City, the Monday night football game. Kansas City is a 5.5-point favorite. I have Kansas City, and I'm going to make this real easy for all of us. We all have Kansas City. Oh, no, Sean, you have New Orleans.
I have New Orleans. I think they cover. I think it's going to be a closer game. Kansas City hasn't looked like lights out yet. I think they will get there. They're still the best team in the league. But I like New Orleans. I feel like they cover.
I think the interesting part about Kansas City is going to be what he does with Rashee Rice going out with whatever the knee injury ends up being.
Yeah.
They're very, very thin at wide receiver. I think Xavier Worthy is still a year away from being truly dominant, but that man can blow the top off of a defense just like Tyreek Hill could. So that helps. There's rumors that they are looking into trading for Tyreek Hill. I don't know how that happens. They're not in the Devontae Adams talks. They need another wide receiver. That's going to be huge for them if they can get one. But it's still Patrick Mahomes. It's still Jason Kelsey. It's still Andy Reid or Travis Kelsey. I think Kansas City wins that game.
Of all the teams in the league that if they had wide receiver troubles, I'd be the least concerned. It's probably Kansas City, just because they still, regardless, still have so many weapons and they have Patrick Mahomes. But I like the Saints defense a lot. So give me them to cover. Yeah, New Orleans.
Quietly in the offseason, the Cleveland Browns restructured Amari Cooper's contract and turned it all into signing bonus, making him a rather cheap asset for a team that will trade for him, a la the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm picking the Chiefs. You saw Travis Kelce get more involved in the offense, and that just makes things different. Now, I will say this. There is a caveat. The Chiefs love to not cover the spread and keep things close and win on a last-second field goal. So, I mean, of all the games that we had to pick, I mean, I could see this one, New Orleans covering, but, man, the Chiefs really don't lose an Arrowhead. So, yeah, give me the Chiefs.
Monday night.
Yeah.
Makes it tough. And then our big dog picks of the week. I picked the Colts. They are +3. I picked that hoping that Joe Flacco is actually the quarterback and not Anthony Richardson, even though Richardson is on my fantasy football team. He's on the bench, though. He's not starting. I'm not that dumb. But that man, Anthony Richardson, just cannot stay healthy. If he could stay healthy, I'd be very intrigued at what he could actually do. I think he has the right coach in Shane Steichen. I think that they have a decent team that they've put around him with Jason Taylor, and you throw in wide receiver help that he got with Adonai Mitchell is now their third string that they drafted this year. I think they're a pretty good team, but yeah, I think they can cover +3.
The Jaguars are hot garbage. Yeah, I took the Colts as well.
I didn't. First, I made a pick of Washington and then realized that they weren't the underdog, so I wasn't allowed to pick them. And then so I switched to Cowboys. I believe I don't remember what the line was, but I'm going with Cowboys over the Steelers.
Which I think is an absolute fabulous play because in reality, we could all be wrong except for you because you picked Pittsburgh and Dallas in the same game, the opposite sides.
Oh, I did, didn't I? Well, look at that.
You picked Pittsburgh at -2.5.
In my defense, I did this literally like I didn't even have them up. I was just like kind of like picking random teams. I looked really quickly after you told me I was wrong. I didn't pay attention at all. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna pick a game.
No, Sean is our Terry Bradshaw.
We're keeping it. Damn. It is staying.
No, that's not. No. I'm picking a new game. I will not pick the Colts. I'm going to pick a new game.
I already put it on the spreadsheet.
God damn it!
I thought it was great because as soon as I looked at it,
that's so funny.
I was like, "Nope, wrong again." But I'm going to let it go.
That is so funny. All right, well, I guess I can't be wrong. That's fine.
No, we're going to keep it. We're going to see how it rolls. If it ends up that you somehow get 3 points out of this week, then we'll talk. But we'll go from there. That's awesome.
What are we talking about? What's next?
I was going to ask real quick. We're 4 weeks into the NFL season. Is there anything that shocks you yet?
Let me pull up the standings real quick because I'm pretty sure the Vikings, the fact that they've won a handful of games up to this point is pretty shocking.
They're undefeated.
They are undefeated.
That was mine.
That's pretty surprising.
I mean, the Ravens being 1-3 is a little surprising.
The Bengals being 1-3. I wouldn't expect them to be 1-3. 500. I could see that.
Yeah, I think the Jaguars made a huge step back too, which is kind of insane to think. Man, I don't know though. I mean, the league seems to be taking shape already, and like the upper echelon teams are standing out. So, with the exception of the Ravens, but then again, I mean, they're not what their record is. So, I mean, look what they did to Buffalo. I mean, them.
Yeah, I would definitely say them. The other one I'll give a shout out to is just the NFC South in general. I think is better than we maybe thought it was at the beginning of the year. I know we dogged them pretty hard, but I think the Falcons, even though they're 2-2, I think they're still pretty good. The Saints
Yep.
are decent. Tampa Bay looks really good. Carolina's Carolina. The fact they won a game, which is more than I think any of us thought that they were going to do at this point. So NFC South is probably another surprise for me.
I think the Vikings were my biggest one, especially because they went into the season expecting they were going to have JJ McCarthy as being their quarterback. He goes down with an injury. They had Sam Darnold that has been pretty much with any team. He is the immaculate grid lock for football teams if you pick them. So that was them being undefeated is a big one. But a lot of mine go to the AFC. The Bills are way better than anybody really anticipated. They have 122 points scored so far this year. That is insane that they have that many points. And their defense has been pretty good too, which has helped a bunch for them. I think the Chargers are way better than a lot of people kind of thought they would be coming in. I think they're definitely going to push for a playoff spot, especially because they should finish ahead of the Broncos and Raiders. And I said it a little bit ago, the Justin Fields experiment in Pittsburgh, they're 3-1. And granted, it's been tough games, but everybody thought with him and Russell Wilson, that was going to be a really bad team.
I mean, my biggest problem with the Bills is look at what happened to them. Was that a Sunday night? Was that the Sunday night game or the Monday night game?
I think it was
It doesn't matter. They're not a passing team anymore. They need to run the football. Like, they neutered James Cook against the Baltimore, and look at what happened to the offense. Like, you have to run the ball. Like, that's what they are. I'm sorry, you want Josh Allen to throw the ball 65 yards, but he's got nobody to throw it to. He makes poor decisions. Yeah, just run the football.
But the other part of that too, though, is that sometimes that helps. Not having a Stephon Diggs and having a whole bunch of just guys. You don't have somebody barking in the huddle every time you go back, being like, "Dude, I was wide open." No, you weren't. You had 4 fucking people and a referee all over you.
Sure, but
there's no way.
The point I'm going to make is this: if the Bills get to the playoffs and they don't run the football, they're not going to beat the Chiefs or the Ravens. I mean, those are the two teams in the AFC that will probably be in the championship, but they're not going to beat those teams without running the football. So I don't know. I've always felt Josh Allen tries to do too much with his arm. That's why I don't view him in the upper echelon of the quarterbacks in the league. What the hell?
Did you okay over there?
I dropped my phone.
I don't know. I think they need to run the football more. I think that makes their team so much better.
Are there any division leaders right now that you don't have faith in that you think they'll be caught?
I would say the Steelers are right away one. The way that the Ravens can utilize Derrick Henry is absolutely insane. So that would be my number one. I think the Ravens do end up winning that division. I would also say probably Washington. I don't think Washington will be there in the end. And that'd probably be the only two that I see.
I don't know. Washington, man. I like them. They look really good.
I don't see the Seahawks staying at the top of the West either. Like,
so I think that they will
get their stuff together.
I think that they will because now we know Christian McCaffrey is out. Now they have their top 2 wide receivers asking for trades. I don't know if it gets better in San Francisco. I know they have the defense to do it. I'm worried about their offense going forward.
Do you think that's just because Kyle Shanahan is who he is?
I think it's probably a big part of it. Yeah.
That sucks. I mean, he's a good play caller. I think he's a good coach. I don't know if he's necessarily the greatest head coach. I think he's really good at scheming up an offense, but I don't think that he has that awkward personality that is really tough to have for a head coach.
Yeah. Yeah. Another one that may fall. I know we were just kind of talking about how good they've been, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think that the Falcons or the Saints, I think that whole division is a toss up for me between those three teams.
Yeah.
What else we want to talk about, guys?
Baseball playoffs going on. Division or wild card series. We've got 2 wrapped up. The Royals knocked out the Orioles, correct?
Yep.
Also,
2 straight games.
Fantastic twittering by the Royals social media team. The Orioles put out a tweet yesterday for game 1 that was like ready to take the crown or something like that. And then the Royals, after sweeping them in 2 games, put up a tweet in response that's like, you can't take the crown without beating the crown or something like that. Fantastic work by the Royals. Also, the hottest team in baseball, Detroit Tigers, knock out the Astros.
Cool story.
That team, I believe on August 31st, they were 10 games back. They really don't have anybody on their roster, on their major league roster that they have acquired via free agency. All of their players are homegrown or traded value that they got in return for players. So like they were listed off their starting lineup the other day on, I forget which show it was locally on 101. But they're listed off and they're like, Cardinal fans would hate this because there's no big name stars. And I'm like, I take that guy. I take that guy.
Yep.
I take that guy
100%
all day long. But I think that's the coolest story. And I think that team is destined to make a run. I think they play Cleveland next, I believe.
Correct.
And I think that's a series that they can win. 5-game series. 3 and 5 game series to me are awkward. I think a 7-game series is definitely going to show the better team. I think the Tigers can do it. And whatever the hell, I think it's Michael Kay that announced the game today. ESPN has got to get it out of their ass that you cannot have a bullpen start a game. Every time the Tigers swapped out a player or a pitcher, they're like, "Oh, here comes the chaos." And how hard is it to match up against this? We all know that it's tough, and that's why they do it, and it works. And there are 15 people deep in that bullpen.
This is pretty incredible for the city of Detroit. I think the team is only going to get better after this year. So everything from this point on, after they beat Houston, is basically just like icing on the cake. They've already succeeded as far as I'm concerned. I would love to see them match up with the Yankees in the ALCS. Just 2 completely different philosophies. Go head to head. I would love to see that, as much as I'm sure that would hurt Cleveland fans. But I think you got to love the story out of Detroit right now.
I saw a tweet earlier. I'm trying to look it up real quick to check it on their salary cap. Their starting lineup, I believe, only was paid $18 million this year. Josh Hader, the closer for the Astros, was 19.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yeah, they have a whole bunch of dead money. So I think that's a great story. I think the Mets are another good story. I think that's a team that has kind of changed the mindset. A couple of years ago, they went out and spent every dollar that Steve Cohen possibly has, and he could find laying underneath the couch. And it didn't work out. They had Scherzer. I believe they had Verlander at one time. They went out and spent money on Lindor, and then they realized this isn't working, and they burnt it all down. They got rid of all those guys, and they started to build from within, and now they're a playoff team.
Well, right now they're struggling with the Brewers. That series is 1-1.
It's still the Brewers. I don't think the Brewers are that great. I really don't. I don't think they're a long run playoff team. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Big shout out to San Diego and my favorite son, Mike Schilt. Yeah. I don't even want to talk about it. It's just depressing at this point. Like, it seriously is. Like, I think a lot of the people listening know we're St. Louis Cardinal fans, and the bullshit that Mozeliak got up there and said on, what was that, Monday or Tuesday? Like, just ridiculous. But I'm going to pull for the Padres. I want to see Shilty do well. He apparently just made like a huge move and went to the bullpen. I guess he thinks the game's going to get close. And so, I mean, that's what good managers do. So, yeah, There was a stat I was trying to find, but all I'm seeing is this depressing stuff about like how the Cardinals screwed up. So
yeah,
I saw something that somebody posted again on Twitter earlier. That was like he's 93 and 20 or 93 and
that's what it was.
whatever as a manager for the Padres, and they're like, hold on, I wouldn't get too attached. He's gonna have philosophical differences that winning works. He's gonna be let go.
I mean,
Yeah. I haven't figured out how I want to express my words about what the Cardinal franchise did on Monday. I think I had a decent Substack that I was going to post for President's Cup. I wanted to finish it off, and I stopped because I think I'm going to do baseball. I think I'm going to run on that, and that's what it's going to be. So that's the only way that I can verbalize how I feel about this franchise.
as a Cardinal fan right now, to see the Brewers top the division, get into the playoffs, to see your crosstown rivals in Kansas City win their first round, to see Detroit do it with a small budget, and then to see your former manager who you fired after a winning season take San Diego, who's probably one of the favorites now to come out of that side of the bracket. Rough times, man.
For sure.
But hockey season starts
Tuesday,
and hopefully then we can get away from the pain of the Cardinals and the pain of St. Louis City. And the Battlehawks start soon too. They just made a huge signing for a wide receiver that was drafted in the second round. Kakala is law. I believe that starts up here in a couple months. We're ready for it here. They got a new turf. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. That dome is going to be rocking with that new green turf.
Yeah.
Heck
Not to go like full St. Louis or anything, but St. Louis City are also playing tonight, and they are knocked out of the playoffs as well. So we need hockey any day now would be fantastic. Maybe next week we can do like a hockey preview. We should probably do that.
I'm down.
Yeah. Anything else, guys, before we get out of here?
That's all I got tonight.
All right. Everybody, thanks for sticking around. Follow us on the socials, Pod Ride the Pine on pretty much everything. Check out the Substack, which is just Ride the Pine. We'll see you guys next week, and enjoy the rest of your day, week, whenever you're listening. See ya. Bye.
Adios.